The first person we're going to hear from is Rabbi Mishael Tzion. Rav Mish is an old friend of mine, a musmach, an alumnus of YCT Rabbinical School. He, among other titles that he has, is the founder of the Klausner Minyan, which is a minyan in Talpiot in Jerusalem. He's involved with Hartman, with Bronfman, with the Mandel Leadership Institute, and was a founder of YCT's Rikma program in Israel. YCT has 65 rabbinic alumni in Israel now, 50 of whom are Israeli Rabbanim and Rabbaniot, who spoke so much in the past few days about their experiences, seeing their selfies, serving in tanks and in other places, and knowing that so much of their work is our work from a distance.
It's great to be here with so mmany faces that I know and that I don't know from across America, and just to feel the connection and the hug. Rav Avi, Dr. Mishael, Rav Yonatan, Rabbi Saschar, it's great to see so many of you. Thank you, Rabbi Yonah, for organizing this, and Rav Dov for your opening words. I'll try to be brief, and Rav Yonah, you can send me angry chat messages when it's time to pass on to other important people. Last Friday night in our shul in Talpiot in Jerusalem, Klausner Minyan, we had a Hachnasat Sefer Torah on Simchat Torah. A wonderful family, the Maoz family, brought their Sefer Torah that their grandfather had written in Caulfield, Melbourne, Australia, in memory of his family that was shot and murdered in Kosovo in 1941, 2 days after Simchat Torah. He wrote the Sefer Torah in the 80s, and in his will said that his daughters had made Aliyah to Israel, and he wanted the Sefer Torah to make Aliyah after he dies. And the Sefer made Aliyah to our shul, to his great-granddaughter's shul, where she's going to be bat mitzvah next week, Parashat Noach, and we'll read from that Sefer Torah. And we had a beautiful Simchat Torah celebration with all 114 families of the Minyan there, and it was a beautiful moment. And we had no idea that the Sefer Torah that we were dedicating in memory of a devastating moment in Jewish history, that we were about to enter another devastating moment where Jews would be shot and killed in fields and forests. This Friday night, right after lighting candles, we walked from our house in Talpiot in Jerusalem. We didn't go to our shul, which was meeting as usual, but up to 50 people, because those are the rules right now. We went to two other families, the Shapira family, who live 2 streets down from us. They're members of a different shul, a wonderful shul called Arnonim, and they had just started sitting Shiva for their son, Aner. Aner Shapira, who is from a Frum family, but he, after Simchat Torah, that same Friday night a week ago, told his mom he's going out for the night, joined his friend Hirsch in the car. They drove down to a party. They had a great time at the party until 6:29 a.m. Hirsch is still missing. Aner was found shot and killed after he had heroically saved a lot of people and threw back live grenades to the Hamas terrorists. We gave our condolences to them and then crossed the street to the Truin family, who were members of our shul. Yehuda Truin is the son of Professor Ilan Truin, who's the founder of Israel Studies in many ways in Brandeis University and Ben Gurion University. Yehuda's sister, Shachar Devi Truin, Matthias, and her husband were killed in Kibbutz Cholit. Their son survived because when the terrorists threw a grenade into their miklat, they jumped on their son, so that they were killed and he was saved. He was released from Soroka 3 days ago from Soroka Hospital. 3 days ago, he's 16 years old. I don't want to spend all my time telling these stories, even though I think these stories are really important. I'm sure you've heard these stories, you've read them, you've seen the videos, you've read the reports. But I think starting with these stories is important because it humanizes us. These are unhuman stories, but telling the stories of the individual people who lost their lives humanizes us and reminds us why we're doing this. Tzelem Elohim, as Rav Dov said before. That gap between the joy of last Friday night and the devastation of this Friday night is, I think, a big part of the shell shock that everyone in Israel is in, and I'm sure across the Jewish people. You were before Simchat Torah. Perhaps when you heard the news, we were already deep into Simchat Torah. And now we find ourselves, I think, like all the Jewish people, in that weird halachic status of aninut, the status where you're not yet in Avel because you haven't buried your dead. 1,300 people were killed. There have been very few funerals so far. There have been funerals. I went to one this morning. I was at another 2 on Friday. But mostly we have not yet buried our dead. And when you're in aninut, as you know, you're patur from mitzvot aseh. You don't daven. You don't say kriyat shema because you're angry, as Reb Soloveitchik says, and because you're silent, as Aharon HaKohen teaches us. And within that silence, it's not a silence of passivity, it's a silence of a very deep scream of devastation that I think we feel all across Am Yisrael. Rav Yonah asked me to say what the mood is in Israel. I started with the devastation. I want to add 2 other emotions we're feeling very strongly right now. There is fear, a lot of fear. On Friday afternoon in our shul, we had an initiative. We told everyone to bake chalot and then give the chalot to people who don't belong to a shul. Those of us who have shul communities, Baruch Hashem, we're fine. Those of us who live in yeshuvim or moshavim and have a strong community, like I was taught at Chovevei Torah to build, we're in better shape. Those who don't have tight-knit communities right now in Israel are in even worse shape. There is fear, and our own neighbors were afraid to open the door to our house. We live in a very quiet neighborhood of Jerusalem in Tapiot. There's fear and there's lack of trust in the institutions of the state and even in the Israeli army. That's a sad statement I never thought I had to say, but I'm being honest with you. I think that fear and that lack of trust are getting better every day, but they are a big part of what's going on now in Israel. And finally, there's devastation, there's fear and lack of trust, but there's also solidarity and mobilization. Huge amount of solidarity inside Israel among camps and people who have not spoken to each other, have been deeply angry at each other. And there's huge mobilization. We'll talk soon about the solidarity and mobilization in North America, and you know that better than I do. But the solidarity and mobilization in Israel is so heartwarming, so empowering, and we need those energies to counter the devastation and the fear and lack of trust. Not because those earlier things aren't real, but because that's what's gonna help us come out of that. So we are now in aninut, and we need to move into avilut. We need to bury our dead and mourn them, and slowly create a strong home front. Rav Yonah also asked me, what can American Jews do in this moment? And I want to say, first of all, I want to just teach you 3 Hebrew words that you probably already know: chazit, oref, and bait. Chazit in Hebrew is the front. Chazit means the face, what you can see. And we are very concerned about the front. Our soldiers, our miluimnikim, a third of my shul is currently in miluim. We're concerned about the front. And they're going to be all the analysis and the news all the time, what's happening in the front in Gaza, the front that's developing on the border with Lebanon, and the information front, which all of you are a big part of. But the other word is the word oref. Oref in Hebrew means the back of the neck. And that's the word that we use for home front, what's happening at home. That isn't discussed in the news. It's not there for analysis of all kinds of smart pundits and so on. We need you to help us with the home front, with the oref. We need to strengthen the home front because it looks like this is going to be a long war. And we need your help in that. We need to become what I think we've always been, Am Kshe Oref. The people with a strong oref, with a strong home front. Not as a disparaging thing that Moshe says about us, Moshe Rabbeinu says about us, but as a shevach, as something, a point of pride. 3 short ideas before I pass it back. What else can American Jews do? The first one, you know, and you've probably been doing this, and Rav Avi has been the big teacher to me and to all of us in this: solidarity, solidarity, solidarity. The tagline of Channel 2 News, N12, if you've been following on all podcasts, has been Beyachad Nenatzeach. They're saying that to all Israelis. I say that to Israelis and to Jews across the world. Beyachad Nenatzeach. And at the same time, just like the halacha says, when you go to a shiva, ha'avel poteach rishon. When you walk into a shiva, you stay silent as a guest and you wait for the avel to say and to open up and to set the mood and set the tone. So be aware and be attentive to your Israeli friends and invite them to set the tone and listen to them. Call them up in Nichumei Avelim and let them set the tone of where the conversation is. Finally, and I'm not much of a strategist, but I'll say that it seems that very clearly we are in a new game with a new enemy in a new war. This isn't the second Intifada. This isn't the second Lebanon war. This isn't the 90s and the buses blowing up. This is a new Hamas that the Israeli military intelligence did not understand and see. And so, therefore, the world is still playing by the old playbook. Thankfully, the American president is playing by a new playbook. Hopefully, the Israeli army will be playing by a new playbook. We need American Jews to play by the new playbook. And when our counterparts are still playing by the old playbook, whether it's university presidents or community leaders or other Jewish communities or the media, we need to help them understand this is a new playbook. For a new playbook, we need to build new coalitions, new connections. And the people who have been reaching out to you and who've been hearing other things and understanding Israel differently, instead of being angry at them that only now they understand, just bring them on and make those connections as strong as possible. What kind of help can you send? Don't stop at vests and socks, and don't give it all now. Wait. Whenever you want to give money to Israel, as a congregant of mine told me this morning, tell them, don't give it yet. Put it in a fund. Wait. We're going to need this money later. We're going to need it in a month. We're going to need it more in 2 months. We're going to need it even more in 3 months. That doesn't mean not to do things. It just means you can help us, as Americans often help Israelis, not to do everything all at once, but to do things strategically and smartly. Finally, be creative with the solutions you can think of. You might think of a small solution that might be really creative. For example, you might yourself or have friends who have empty apartments in Israel. That apartment in Rechavia or Netanya or Modi'in, where you visit 2 or 3 times a year, and at the moment it's sitting empty. Don't let it sit empty. Let families from the south go and stay there. Chas v'shalom, and families from the north, already some of them need places to stay. Open them up. If you know friends who were so happy to tell you that they bought an apartment in Eretz HaKodesh, make sure that house is not empty. If it's not filled with you visiting it, Be'ezrat Hashem soon, then make sure that in the meantime someone else is using it. Hopefully, we will move from devastation and from fear and lack of trust to solidarity and mobilization. Your solidarity and your mobilization is helping us move even stronger into solidarity and mobilization here Be'am Yisrael. And hopefully in the Chazit, in the Oref, and in the Bait, we will be able to be an Am Kshe Oref, Ve'am Shemenatzeach B'Chazit. Thank you very much.